Hello, so some people have requested with me over the years, could I take all the photos and scan the War Emergency Guidebook in? And I've said before that'd be something I'd sort of be happy to do, but it's just going to take loads of time. And the only bit I wouldn't do, and I won't show in these videos, is like the last chapter, because it's all the contact details of various people outlined in the book. A lot of them who are going to be dead now, or moved house, or, you know, shouldn't have their information essentially disclosed to random people, because this wasn't like a public, you know, available thing. So this is Wiltshire City Council's War Emergency Guidebook. So what this was, in the Cold War, basically there was an sort of a very bad plan in Britain. So there was a plan put in place, but not a very well thought out one, of what to do in the case of a nuclear war. Sort of a survival guide type thing. But this is a survival guide for government bureaucrats on how to rule over a post-apocalyptic wasteland, in a sense, not for regular people like you and me. So I'll probably break this up into several videos over several weeks, and we can basically, what I'm going to do is just slowly flip through it. So the camera should focus on each page for a few seconds. You can then pause it, and you know, if you want to take screenshots from it, do it that way. I was going to do it in 4K, and then I realised that 4K video, if I did a load of pages in this for a few seconds each, would actually be too big on the card, and it would also cause problems in my editing software. So here we go. So in the very front of this, you actually have some, like, the more publicly available, shall we say, leaflets. So I won't bother showing all of those because they're easier to get. So the point of these was basically to give you a sort of scientific explanation, or like a civil defence explanation of nuclear weapons. So the hydrogen bomb. I'm trying to read this upside down. Advising the householder on protection against nuclear attack. And I guess this is like a previous version of the War Emergency Guidebook. Not War Emergency Guidebook, sorry, Protect and Survive. This is the War Emergency Guidebook, it's more of a folder. And nuclear weapons. Anyway, so what I'm just going to do now is, because this is the bit you're all probably interested in, I'm basically, I hope the lighting's good enough, this is the best lighting I can get in here. I'm basically just going to try and get this in frame as much as possible, and then, you know, slowly flip over the pages. Now, if I remember right, there's nothing on the back of each pages which will really help showing this. Oh no, I lied. There is. Okay, so I'm going to have to zoom out a bit more. Right, okay, what's going to be the best angle to get this at? Maybe like that. Again, I know this isn't going to be perfect, so I apologise, but with this sort of thing, like I said, I don't really have the capacity to scan or photograph every page individually. So we'll just do it like this, which I think should look alright. But as I said, just pause it on a certain page if you're interested in more details, and hopefully the resolution will be good enough that you can read the text on it. Again, some of these might be a bit difficult because they're like that, because some of them are stapled together, some are like paper clipped together, even for the bits in the same chapters. I think this one is mostly just the contents though, so I'll skip through this one a bit faster just because of the fact that you're going to see everything in more detail later on. So apparently they could make notes like a little school project as they went along, you know, like how would you ration out food and shoot looters or whatever. So for those of you that have seen Threads, just as a quick explanation, this is probably the closest film in reality to what this sort of stuff's about, which is basically the awful planning for like the awful scenario of mutually assured destruction. The idea being that most people won't survive at all, but it was kind of, rather than doing nothing, we'll just do the bare minimum, and it would kind of lead to a post-nuclear feudalism. As I said, this is more just if people want to take screenshots of any of the pages as best they can. If there's any particular pages people are interested in, you know, like short, like 5 pages sections, I could try and do those much higher res for people. Obviously the problem is trying to go through a massive folder sort of book like this, especially with some faded pages, and scan them in properly, is going to be, you know, not the, you know, easiest thing. I wonder if they've actually got all the ROC posts listed in here. That's an interesting thing. I haven't even thought about that, but they might have a list of ROC posts for the Wiltshire area inside this book. But saying that, I think this book is from the era of getting rid of a lot of the ROC posts and sort of just assuming that there won't be a good early warning system. You know, an over-the-radar warning will tell you that the ICBMs are inbound, and that's it. So, I'll go as far as maybe the background subjects section in this video. Because then that means we can start, so this is all like radiation doses at the moment. So looking at that upside down, so 1,000 rontgens. I can't actually see that upside down, but or is this to do with the magnitude of the thing? Oh yeah, there's the dose, look, rontgens. So over 600 rontgens, I think that says upside down. Almost imminent, I can't even read that word, upside down. But mortality in 1 week. But yeah, you know, the lethal doses. Anyway, so if you're familiar with Chernobyl, you'll be familiar with the Rontgen unit. Again, the problem is, like I was saying, some of these pages are quite faded. So how well you can make these out, I don't know. But again, they're not very easy to make out, even with the eye. There's a little bit on chemical warfare on here as well, which is sort of interesting, but again that's not really the subject of this folder, and biological warfare, but most of this is about radiation and nuclear attack. Again, apologies, faded pages, but not many of these in existence as far as I'm aware. Right, and I believe this brings us to Law and Order, so this is probably a good place to stop for this video. And then that means in the next one of these I can do each chapter sort of as an individual bit. So I hope this is good for the people that requested seeing this in better detail. You know, as opposed to just simply, you know, wanting a brief explanation of what the sort of war emergency guidebook is. As I said, I was just very lucky to get it because my uncle does painting and decorating, and he ended up doing somebody's house where they said, oh, I've got one of my parents was in that, like, war emergency planning thing. Give your nephew this. And that's how I got this. But I think some of these are declassified, but they're sort of in the archive type things where you'd have to go and request to see them and then sit at a desk with them. So actually, physically having one's pretty cool. So anyway, that's the first chapter on background subjects and the introduction. And then we'll go over law and order, health, resources, community responsibilities, and coming into action over the next sort of weeks. And as I said, hopefully you can print screen bits from this video or just download this video if you want to use this as a reference to the future.